Today we're going to begin learning how to shade some spheres. So we finished up our perspective unit and now we are going to look at curved objects, different ways to shade them light to dark. And the next thing we're building upon is not just the shading but also creating a texture depending on which method of shading. So here's my example with lots of notes written all over it. Today, the first day of this lesson, we will be setting up our paper. To begin, we have our 12 by 12 paper. We will divide that up into 4 sections. Obviously, if it's a 12 by 12 paper, it would be a 6 by 6, 4 of them, little squares. So, I will be using my ruler to mark off the 6 inches. It's not cut exactly, but I will measure from the top on one side. Put your ruler down, and you want to make sure that if the ruler has a space before the 0, that you take into account that this is where the paper should begin. So I'm going to measure down 6 inches. If I look down here, you see that this is short. I don't know if you can see that in the screen. This is short 12 inches. Because we're not building a house and we don't need to have perfect dimensions for this, don't worry about that. But if you measure up from the bottom on this side, it will make it look like the paper is tipped. So now I will measure down 6, starting from the top, and I will connect that line, turning the paper. Can you see that line? I hope you can see that line. Again, measure down 6 inches, measure down 6 inches, and draw your line. You should now have your 12 by 12 paper divided into 4 equal sections, 6 by 6 squares. Each sphere is located in the middle of these squares. One way that we can find the middle of a square is we can simply draw an X from corner to corner. Because I will be erasing these lines, we want to draw them very lightly. If you draw a little X in the middle of each one of these squares, you will find the middle. We found the middle by measuring. You can also find the middle by drawing an X in between each section. I'm still using that method of where I put my pencil down on the one side I want to line up, and then fanning it to the other side that I had demonstrated in all of the perspective drawings. Oops, forgot one. So now we have found the 4 middles. We will be using a safety compass in order to create our circles. Safety compass, how do you use one? Well, you're going to line up this little metal ring with the middle, and then we're going to be making 4-inch in diameter, which would be 2 inches radius, to make our circle. Some of these are starting to, like the little letters and stuff, are starting to rub off. But if you follow along that top line, you'll see that there's one that has a little mark by it. I can barely even tell this is an arrow. Some of them are very well marked. Some of them are kind of starting to get faded, but we can still use that. So I'm going to put that little metal ring in the middle of the X, put my pencil on the other side, and then I hold it down and boogie it around. You will do that 4 times. last but not least, erase those X's once you have those 4 well-drawn circles. They're not spheres yet. They will be. They are just a circle right now. Okay, so there are 4 circles. We now will be labeling each one of these. I'm going to rearrange how these are labeled. What matters is that the one that you label blending is blending. So let's do the upper left-hand corner one as blending, the upper right-hand corner as hatching. The bottom is going to be cross-hatching. And the bottom right-hand corner, stippling. I will write my name on the paper. And this should be our task for day 1. Day 2, I will teach you how to do the blending and the hatching, and we will really develop those. Day 2 of, actually probably day 3, but the following day we will work on the cross-hatching and the stippling. The goal, each time we choose a method, the goal is to have more dense mark making for the darker the shadow you want, and then it gradually becomes less and less dense. As you can see, what I have done is I have actually had students' classes look at each one of these and decide whether it'd be a 4 out of 4 or this one would be a 3 out of 4. They said they could see it get more dense, but it wasn't getting dense enough in this area to really create the illusion that there is a shadow and make it look real. So that's what we'll be working on today. Let's get our paper set up.